Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Feraphic, and I am back in the wonderful world of tanks for a Tier 6 game in my KV-1S. Probably the most overpowered tank at Tier 6. And it's that way for a reason. It is very mobile. It's got a very high alpha damage gun, at least for its tier. And the armor is decent. So, basically it has very few downsides and quite a few upsides. So, on Cliff, I like to try to get into what I call the donut. Or at least when I'm in medium tanks, anyways. And I try to take a shot on the move against that Easy 8 Sherman. I just miss him. But he wasn't looking at me, so I get to put a free shot into him, basically. Doing 379 damage, which is below average damage, but still quite a meaty chunk of his health got taken away with that hit. So I've made it into the donut, which I feel is a pretty strong location on this map, because you get to look out over the western alleyway and also the west side of the lighthouse hill. Here I get to put in a shot on the T-28, and it was either the M4 or the T-150 that fired a HE shell at me and did hardly any damage. Now this M4 Sherman here ends up coming up that little traversable pathway from the west, and he ends up doing a number on me. He takes off a good chunk of my health that I would have rather kept. And he's effectively pinned me down here. Or, not really. But he did try. Unfortunately for him, KV-1S can almost one-shot him. I think it actually can one-shot him some of the time, but so we're losing 6-7, and there's a mass of tanks over here on this western alleyway. So I decided to put a shot into the most dangerous tank I could see, instead of finishing off the M4, because the BDR G1B knocks him out, and I pick up a kill on a Valentine who is on very low health. And then I come back around to try and assist the rest of my allies here, because I'm confident there are no tanks sitting behind me to ambush me as I come around. Unfortunately, though, this leaves the remaining enemy KV-1S, who was last spotted in F6, to finish off some of my more unfortunate team members. And as you can see by XVM, that KV-1S was quite a good player. And he's in a good location where he's able to pick off most of my teammates that go up there. And anybody who is just gonna sit in front of his 122mm gun. But he is on very low health, so I decide to load a HE shell for him. Because I don't need to penetrate to deal damage with AG. And even though I am confident that the shot won't penetrate his armor. I believe that it will deal enough damage to knock him out. So I'm thinking I just have to hit him anywhere on his tank. But unfortunately he's not spotted, and I try to get the BDR and the Dicker Max to move out of the cap and try and get some vision going. But this Panzer IV decides to just drive out into the field into the KV-1S's line of fire, which does get him spotted when he fires. However, I was not in a position to take him out, unfortunately. And the enemy team's M3 Lee was last spotted close to me, so I don't really want to be shot in the side by him, because even though it is an M3 Lee, it does have fairly decent DPM, and I am only at 57% health. And I also don't want him spotting me for the enemy KV-1S. So I decided to play a little bit passively here, in hopes that the KV-1S would come out. I see that the BDR is moving down the western alleyway, and the Dicker Max is still sitting in base. So I ping the map in a second here to let him know to move out and cover the BDR. Because you really don't want to have all your tanks spread out in a kind of tense situation like this. You want to be able to cover each other. And I'm fairly certain here that I can take on a low health KV-1S and the M3 Lee if they come towards me, because I can drop down over the hill if I get spotted or shot at. So I move up to the corner to try and spot the enemy KV-1S, but I myself get spotted. I pull back and I get a very lucky bounce off my upper hull, I believe. And I didn't manage to spot the KV-1S when he fired. So I'm telling my team that the T-49 is on the ridge above the enemy cap. And then I try to pull forward here and just miss the HE shell at the KV-1S as he pulls back. And this probably wasn't the best decision making on my part. So what I'm trying to do here is do exactly what I did just a moment before and come forward and try and spot him and get the shot. And I panic fire there because he hits me and damages me. Puts me on very low health, so we're now one shot away from killing each other. In a head-to-head fight, it would be whoever pulls the trigger faster. And that's not really what I want to be doing at this point, so I decide to change up the angle of attack, because that one wasn't working for me. And I know I can't go east along the road, because I'll just get spotted and caught out in the open. And I can't go around past the enemy cap because there's an M3 Lee and a T-49 looking out over the base. So I'm about to use that traversable path up the side of the cliff that the M4 was using earlier in the match, and that I use in my medium tanks to get up there in the start of the match when I spawn in the south. And I didn't think that the enemy KV-1S would expect me to come from this direction. So I thought I could spot him while he was still waiting for me to come out around the rock face that I was at just a few seconds ago. Now the KV-1S finishes off our BDR G1B, but I didn't notice that at the time. I thought it was either the M3 Lee or the T49. If I had noticed that, I probably would have pulled up to my right to try and get some vision going on the enemy tanks, because since the KV-1S killed the BDR, it basically meant that he had moved from the location he was in, because he wouldn't have been able to get effective shots on the BDR from where he was. I take a blind shot at the M3 Lee, knock him out with one shot, but now I'm all alone against a very skilled KV-1S driver on 5 kills, and a T49 driver. And I actually can't see how many kills he's on because the resolution is too low in the preview window, so I apologize. I decided to come around here and poke to see if the KV-1S is still up here, which he definitely isn't. Then I decide to turn around, so I was thinking I could try and get spots again on the T49, and there's the KV-1S. And I get to put a nice shot into the side of him. And I deny his top gun, while putting me one step closer to my own. I decide to change up my angle once again. I was thinking that the enemy T49 might be going for our cap, so I just wanted to try and spot him, if I could, from the relative safety of these bushes, while being able to pull back around the corner if I was spotted. And this is kind of a dangerous situation here because we can both one-shot kill each other. And I really want my top gun and to win this game. But I decide to come back up this little road here. And I was going to go around next to the lighthouse and try and come from above him. But he ends up coming from me, as you're about to see. And I'm able to finish him off for 6 kills and my first KV-1S Top Gun. So before I show you the end results of this game, I just wanted to show you that XVM was telling me that I had 40% chance to win this game. Now, for all you people who have XVM and see this kind of win chance and then just quit out, you might be the reason why your team loses, because you weren't in that game to deal damage to the enemy team and possibly carry them. So the next time you see a low percentage like this, try fighting. You might win, and you might get an epic game. I'm not saying that this one was particularly epic. I was in an overpowered tank, but it was pretty exciting at the time, and I enjoyed myself while playing it. So yeah, just give it a shot and don't give up. It's not over till it's over. But yeah, Top Gun and the KV-1S. And a 3K double as well, which is always nice. Like I said, it wasn't that amazing. I was playing an overpowered tank in a pretty good matchup tank-wise. I mean, my team wasn't that great, but aside from the enemy KV-1S and maybe 1 or 2 other players, their team wasn't that great either. And that's basically what you need to be able to do well in World of Tanks and get games like this. Like Jinkle said, the enemy team has to suck, but your team has to suck just a little more. And I'm not trying to say my team actually sucked there. I mean, some of them did pretty well, the BDR G1B and the Dicker Max. But statistically, none of them were really amazing players. And unfortunately for me, mastery of the KV-1S still eludes me. I was hoping that would be my mastery game, but I figured quite a few people play this tank, so I'd have to have a pretty epic game to get a mastery badge in this. So for the moment, I am still stuck at first class mastery. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe I will catch you next time.